Welcome back to the Movie Marathon Men. I'm Owen Garner.
And I'm Luke Carr.
And we watch films that make us go, Well, today we're looking at a very special movie.
Yep.
I was thrilled when you suggested that we watch this. We're looking at a cult classic and asking, is it a sleeper hit or a piece of ship? Airship, that is. It's Sky Captain, The World of Tomorrow. Just let me pitch a movie to you here. Jude Law, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Angelina Jolie in the year 2004 in a high-concept film noir. It looks like a graphic novel, but seemingly is an original idea.
Seemingly.
Nobody else did it before, and nobody else has done it after.
Well, I tell it to Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah, I mean, it looks slightly like a very expensive perfume commercial in the way that Megaflopolis does.
Yes.
Were you inspired to look at this because we've just seen Jude Law's tour de force in the space pirate Skeleton Crew?
I was.
That's what's brought you round to this.
I was. It was that. And then I watched the trailer. Just to give you a taste of this whole film is in sepia tone, like on an Instagram filter from 2012.
Yeah.
It's got soft focus everywhere. Like everything's overexposed.
Yeah.
It all looks like
it does the lighting
sequence.
like on eyes like that.
It just fades in and out of scenes here and there.
Yeah.
It moves quickly. At the beginning, it definitely tails off, which is something we'll come on to, but the stylistic decision for the first 25-30 minutes
it feels
insane.
like they almost shot it in sequence because it
ran
feels
out of
like
time.
they ran out of their ideas almost, maybe.
Yeah.
Like they'd done all of their beautiful shots of it, so it feels more influenced by movies like Metropolis.
Yes.
And films from the film noir tradition, because they're in a sort of version of New York, but it's a sort of almost steampunk.
Yeah, it is
version.
very steampunk.
It's steampunk, but nobody's wearing those goggles. Well, they're wearing.
Jude Law wears those goggles.
But they're not the steampunk goggles. They're not the circular goggles. They're like fighter pilot goggles.
That's because this is an original idea.
It's aesthetically, it's incredibly strong.
Yeah.
What is this getting on M Factor for you?
Oh, this is a 10 because it's unique.
Yeah. The M Factor for me on this is off the charts.
It just can't be measured.
It cannot be measured.
We could talk about the plot, maybe. We maybe don't even have to.
I don't
They
know if
certainly
I could.
didn't feel the need to.
No.
It's just feeling after like the amount of times we were in a scene and we would have to go, where are they?
Yeah.
Firstly, and secondly, why are they there?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
And how do they get here?
When? You ask all the W's. Every single different scene. The characters, I will say, were actually quite well defined. They had traits, and they did broadly stick to them.
They did tell us what their traits were quite often.
Yes. And they saved the exposition for maybe 2 or 3 scenes spread like equally 45 minutes apart so that you were just lost for the in-between parts.
Spoiler alert, like it's a 10 out of 10, would recommend to all my friends, and I will be doing that.
Well, this film does not get bogged down in the small details like plot and character relationships and telling you what's going on. So you do really get a lot.
Yeah.
It moves.
Yeah, it really does. It moved me.
So we see robots,
Yeah.
Skynet AI, dinosaurs. I'll say that again. Dinosaurs. Helicarriers from the Avengers movies. Angelina Jolie.
Spitfires.
Amphibious Spitfires. Chases through New York. We see a Shangri-La in the Tibetan mountains.
Yeah, it's one of the only Laurence Olivier movies I've ever watched.
Who was maybe resurrected. I need to look up when he died, but I feel
Yes.
like it was pre-2004.
Yeah.
I feel like they did maybe do a bring him back from the dead for...
Thematically, it does fit.
It does fit.
Kind of what happens in the film. It's sort of weirdly prescient, its message.
Our circumstances, especially the phrase that finishes the film, the lens cap.
Lens cap.
Lens
Been
cap.
there.
This has, without exaggeration,
Yeah.
I think, my favourite last line in a film.
Yeah.
Of all film.
It's so good. I mean, I feel like, so you're watching this film and you're like, how did all of these guys sign on to this movie?
that last line.
And you've read the script and like the ups and downs, you may be like umming and ahhing, and then that last line you read it and you're like, no, this is a banger.
On the characters, we'll start with the top billing, which is Jude Law as Sky Captain, introduced as Mad Max in Mad Max Fury Road, with his face entirely covered.
It's so funny. They do a full Captain Silvo for him.
His character is the main character, so he's the typical hero. And he doesn't do a lot that stands out necessarily, apart from the two things he's able to do, which is punch women and punch massive machinery.
There was a bit in this movie that I saw. It was a 2-second occurrence, and it was I shouted, I screamed, "How is this not a meme?"
Yeah.
It's Jude Law passionately kissing Gwyneth Paltrow and then passionately punching her in the face. it's what?
Oh, I almost want to say the 4 things that you said throughout this film back to back, maybe 3 minutes in, which was, how did this not win Best Animated Feature? Maybe we were too harsh on the Phantom Menace. Girl, get in the gutter. And ooh.
That was sort of in the opening sequence alone. It was so inventive, so original, and such a strong aesthetic choice that they made. So much of it is this sepia eye, CGI type thing, but because it is consistent and there's none of it is done practically, you're able to suspend your disbelief.
It never looks real, so it never looks fake.
Yeah.
It is an animated film.
Yeah.
One of the major plot devices, and maybe the only one that we could follow, was that Gwyneth Paltrow, a reporter, because I don't know if we said any of these people's professions.
Well, Jude Law's a sky captain.
Jude Law is a sky captain.
He's a sky captain.
Gwyneth Paltrow is just along for the ride because she was previously entangled with Jude Law in a relationship. And they do whatever they do, who knows. Yeah. But she has her one camera that she brought with her, and she only has 2 shots left.
Because she had a bag of film that she was then separated from at one point.
Because they got locked in a room and they blew it up with dynamite.
I run into that issue all the time.
So she only has these 2 shots, and throughout the second half of the film, she keeps going to take a picture and then going...
It's so funny how she keeps
2.
looking at the shot count, and it's like, you've only got to count to 2.
Yeah.
Like,
then,
you know it's 2.
And
so do we. We kept showing that number 2, like, 3 times.
And after a time, it's only 1. You've got to count to 1.
Yeah. It's, you've only got 1 left. Show, don't tell. But tell us that you're showing us, and show us again. It's beautiful storytelling.
From memory, she was a smart character. I feel like that was correct.
She's doing sort of... She's doing, like, deep investigative journalism. But then after that, once she's paired with Jude Law's character, they need her to be the silly woman who gets punched in the face.
So she is the clumsiest woman in the world throughout the rest of the film. There's a fantastic bit where the ship rolls around a bit and she plants her whole hand like
on a control board. Yeah,
and walks over.
To no consequence, though, I will say.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. It's hard to tell because whatever's going on in that scene, that happens, and then like 10 seconds later they're underwater.
Yeah.
And I'm maybe.
Or what, you think that was her fault?
Like, did they have to evacuate?
Maybe.
I don't know. Angelina Jolie appears in this film for only really one sequence.
Yeah.
But she does an attempt at a British accent.
She does an accent. I don't know if it's a British accent.
Polly Perkins, I've heard so much about you. It's a pleasure to finally meet the competition.
Jude Law, of course, does fine with his.
His English accent's actually really quite good. I was impressed with that. It's interesting, in the film they show a bit of The Wizard of Oz.
They do, yeah.
And they're sort of alluding to one of the greatest and definitely one of the most important films of all time. Are we including this film in that same canon?
We're putting it in a canon. Firing it somewhere.
So this film is, I would say, similar to Atlantis. If it was animated, their performances would all have to be turned up to 11.
Yeah.
They're very understated performances. And like Jude Law is inherently charming, so he's able to just Jude Law his way through every line, and you're like, haha. But if it was animated, you'd need a Michael J. Fox, very expressive voice, very, hey, whoa, what are we doing? Oh.
That was Christopher Walken.
It's a bit of, almost a younger Christopher Walken. There's a market there. But I don't know what that means.
I don't think it's bad. I don't think that it's intentionally as good as it is. But it's definitely intentional.
Yes. They meant to do what they were doing.
Yes. And I think that they thought it would be a bit more serious. A bit more serious.
Yes, I think... But it is quite sort of cheeky-chappy comedy.
Yes.
And a bit James Bondy, a bit like suave, funny. And there is a fine line between like James Bond and Austin Powers.
Yeah.
That line is crossed in one direction more often than not. There's probably a bunch of movies like this, but they don't have Jude Law, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Angelina Jolie.
The budget they would have put on this film.
And Michael Gambon.
Yeah, Michael Gambon.
I think Layer Cake was the same year. So I think Michael Gambon did this and Layer Cake in the same year. And a Harry Potter.
Yeah, Prisoner of Azkaban. His first. That was him as Dumbledore, right? That's the introduction, right? Yeah.
Oh, because did Richard Harris do 2?
He did 2. And then it was...
Right. What a big year for Michael Gambon.
Big year. Which one do you reckon he talks about? Right, not actually. No. But the thing that needs to be said is it's fun.
It's so fun.
And that's all that matters with a film called Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow.
Yeah, it's such a clunky title. It's perfect.
It's just as clunky as Gwyneth Paltrow bumbling through the rest of this film.
Well, there we have it. What a beautiful film. What an amazing experience. I had a lot of fun. I am keen to find more films like this.
Yeah. Oh, this is what you want from a film. You want an artist to sit down and just present to you what's in their mind.
Yeah.
And you can take it or you can reject it, but you want it to be something that someone's really put out into the world. Yeah. And that's what this was.
There it is. Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, the film that Megalopolis could have been. Well, we have had a great time. We have been the Movie Marathon Men. I've been Owen Garner.
And I've been Luke Carr.
And until next time, we'll say goodbye. But before you go, how are you going to catch us next time? Well, the best way is to like this video and to subscribe to the channel. Thank you.